David Carter once had it all: a thriving architecture firm in downtown Chicago, a beautiful family, a home in the suburbs, and a reputation built on years of passion and sleepless nights. At 42, he was the kind of man people admired. From a young boy growing up in rural Ohio, with nothing but dreams, he had carved a life of meaning from the stone of ambition. But all of that seemed like another lifetime now. It began with a mistake, a miscalculation. On a major downtown project, the building's structural design had flaws that David's team failed to catch before it was too late. The project had to be shut down halfway through. Construction investors pulled out, and lawsuits came flooding in. The firm's name was dragged through the mud, and David, as CEO, bore the brunt of the blame. Within 6 months, his business was bankrupt. Then came the personal losses. His wife, Julia, who had stood beside him for nearly 20 years, couldn't bear the stress anymore. She left, taking their 2 children with her to live with her parents in Denver. He watched helplessly as his world collapsed. Friends stopped calling. Job offers dried up. Reputation gone. Money gone. Hope gone. David moved into a small studio apartment on the south side, barely affording rent through short-term gigs and part-time work. Depression became his shadow. Mornings felt like punishments. Nights were worse, filled with regret, self-loathing, and haunting memories of what he used to be. One cold November morning, he sat at a local diner with nothing but black coffee in front of him. He stared out the window, watching snow drift slowly across the sidewalk. He thought about disappearing. He truly believed his story had ended. Bad day? The voice startled him. An old man in a heavy brown coat stood beside him, eyes kind and warm. David hadn't heard anyone approach. "You could say that," David muttered. The man slid into the booth opposite him without asking. "Name's Earl. You look like someone who's given up." David didn't respond. Earl continued, "I used to be a boxer. Back in the 70s, nothing fancy, but I held my own. Lost every major fight I ever had. One day I got knocked out in under a minute. The press tore me apart, my coach quit. My girlfriend left me. Thought my life was over." David looked up, a flicker of interest in his tired eyes. "But," Earl said, tapping the table gently, "one old trainer stuck by me. He told me something I never forgot. It ain't the fall that kills you, it's the decision not to get back up." David sighed. "I don't have anything left to get up for." "Then you haven't looked hard enough." There was something about Earl, his quiet confidence, the unwavering compassion that pierced David's fog. Earl handed him a business card. "Come by this place tomorrow, just for a chat." David didn't promise anything, but the next day something in him nudged him forward. He walked to the address on the card. It was a community center on the city's edge, modest but welcoming. Inside, he found Earl talking to a group of young men, all from tough neighborhoods, all looking for a way out. "You showed up," Earl smiled. David gave a half shrug. "Didn't have anything better to do." "Perfect. That means you're ready to rebuild." At first, David just listened. The group sessions weren't therapy, not in the formal sense. They were conversations about failure, fear, ambition, and hope. Slowly, David started talking. He told them about his firm, the lawsuit, the collapse. He was surprised to find no judgment in their eyes, just understanding. A few weeks later, Earl gave him an opportunity. "There's a small nonprofit," Earl said. "They refurbish abandoned buildings into youth centers. They need someone to help with designs. They can't pay much, but it's something." David hesitated. He hadn't picked up a drafting pencil in almost a year. His confidence was brittle. But Earl leaned in. "The first brick to rebuilding your life is saying yes." David took the job. It wasn't glamorous. The building was run down. The budget was laughable. But David threw himself into the work. He found himself sketching blueprints late into the night, rediscovering the joy he once had. The project was completed 6 months later. It won a small city award for community impact. From there, word spread. A local school asked him to consult on a renovation, then a library. Bit by bit, his phone started ringing again. And more importantly, he felt alive. He reconnected with his children, visiting them in Denver. Julia was cautious, but she saw something new in him. Humility, strength, presence, Though they didn't get back together, they became friends again. That mattered. 2 years later, David opened a new firm, Rise, a design group focused on community-focused architecture. He hired young designers who needed second chances. Earl became his advisor. They opened 5 youth centers across the Midwest, each one built with care and story. One day during a dedication ceremony for a new youth hub in Detroit, David took the mic. The mayor was present. News crews too. "I stand here today not as a man who never failed," he said, voice steady, "but as someone who learned that failure is not the end of life. We fall, but we must rise again. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to those who believe in us. When we don't believe in ourselves." The crowd stood in applause. That night, back in his modest apartment, he never went back to luxury living. David looked at an old photograph of his first office, the one he lost. He smiled, placed it in a drawer, and looked toward the window, where the city lights flickered like stars. Because life doesn't end with failure. It begins again with rising.